Hey everyone, it is Anna in the Books here, and today I'm going to be filming my 2025 reading stats and favorites. So let's get started. Okay, so I did make a little graphic of my 2025 stats. So I'm gonna have it right here for you guys to see. But I read 29 total books this year, which is better than last year, so I'm happy about that. And total pages is around 10,000 pages, 10,030 pages. And my average rating was a 3.6, which I don't know if you can see by my other stats. Like, I had a lot of 3 stars, but I didn't have any 1 stars, and mostly 4 and 5. And for authors, 20 of them were new to me and 9 I had read from before. And for my genres, these are my genres. I kind of made up what I would put these books in terms of genre, because on Fable it says that I'm like a lit fic reader, like that's my biggest genre, but I don't know. According to how I would define them, sci-fi is my biggest genre, and then followed by horror, which romance and fantasy being my third, which I don't really read either of them that much, is a little funny, but you know, it's whatever. Okay, so the way I want to go through all the books that I read is I'm just gonna go through them in order that in the order that I read them in. So we're gonna start from like my first book in January and work our way through the rest of the year. But the only thing I'm not gonna focus too much on are my like worst books of the year, my lowly rated books, because I already made an entire video on that and I'll have that link here. But so I'm not going to focus on the negative. I'm actually going to focus more on my favorite books and the books that I really liked in this video. Let's start with the first book that I finished in 2025. Okay, the first book that I read was Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I think we can just say 4-star. I enjoyed it. It was like a little bit, it was definitely speculative. Like, you're following these 2 women, their wives, and one of them went on an expedition on a submarine, and when she came back she started behaving really strangely, and she just stopped talking, and there's I don't know, let me read the description to make sure I'm not spoiling anything. Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna say too much. But yeah, so it's the wife who wasn't on the ship. She is trying to figure out what's wrong with Leah, and she just wants to help her and figure out what's wrong, but she doesn't know. And it's very eerie and a little unsettling throughout the book, especially when you get Leah's perspective of what happened in the submarine. But I enjoyed it. It's pretty good. The second book that I read in 2025, I actually just listened to it on audiobook, and it is book number, I think, 3 of the Bridgerton. It's An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is literally all about Benedict and his story. So, which is funny because the new season of Bridgerton is actually going to be, I'm pretty sure, about Benedict's story. The only thing is, I wasn't that big of a fan of this book. It was definitely my least favorite of the first 3. It was basically just a retelling of Cinderella. That's kind of just what it is, but I guess that's fine. But I don't know, it was just kind of boring, and it was really unmemorable for me, so I think I gave it just a 3. It wasn't bad, but it was just a little boring. Okay, the next book that I read in 2025 was We Spread by Ian Reid. I've been wanting to read more Ian Reid, especially ever since I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things by him, and I loved that book, so I was really excited to pick this one up. And okay, I need to look at what I actually gave these as ratings, because I completely forgot what I rated this. I think I gave this a 4-star. So this book, you're following this older woman who was an artist, and she lived in the same apartment for decades, and she ends up going to a retirement home. But this retirement home is, there's something weird happening there. The lady who runs the nursing home. It's a little strange. They're in the middle of the woods. She does like become friends with the other residents, and like their little friendship story is cute, but it's just like, again, like really unsettling and a little strange. And when you but the only thing is like, I feel like the ending, like the reveal is like a little bit predictable, but the rest of the book was like nice and eerie, so I still enjoyed it. It's also like a pretty quick read. I don't know, I feel like it's like not that much. And you're also, because like the woman is older, so you're kind of like following her like descent and like degradation of her mind. I did like it. Okay, the next book that I read was Maktub by Paulo Coelho. This was one of my most disappointing reads of the year, and if you want to hear more about it, you can watch that video, but it was a 2-star and not what I expected. That actually was like a few books that are in a row that are actually from in that video too. Like I have The Tatami Galaxy by Tomohiko Morimi, and I also rated this pretty lowly. It was not what I expected. If you want to hear more about it, you can check out that video. And then also on audiobook, I had listened to Funny Story by Emily Henry, which I also hated, and you could hear more about it in that video. So let's just move on. Okay, so after the next book that I read, well, I actually also listened to it on audiobook, was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. Gave it 4.75. This is like the only book in the series that I think I didn't give a 5-star. I don't know. It just wasn't the same as the other books. I don't know, there was just something missing in it for me, and I couldn't give it more than a 4.75, but still, that's really high. Like, it just wasn't a 5. It was just missing that tiny little something. The next book that I read in 2025 was Monstrilio by Gerardo Samana Cordova. I think I give this like a 3.25, 3.5 or something. It was interesting. The only thing is that I feel like it started off really strong, like in the beginning, because it's told in 4 different sections, like 4 different perspectives that you get. But the first perspective is the mother. I liked her perspective the most. But if you don't know what this book is about, you're following this little family. So it's like this husband and this wife. They lost their son. Like he was born with like 1 lung, or like a bad lung, and he dies like as a little child, and the mother is like, you know, grief stricken that she cuts out a piece of his lung and keeps it and feeds it, and that lung turns into something. And I don't know, I feel like it's like a story of grief and like motherhood and like the lengths that people go through like for their children. And the only thing is I only really liked the mother's perspective. The other 3, I don't know, I was just not that into it. It was not bad, like it's beautifully written, the story is really beautiful, the themes, but I don't know, it just wasn't like a big hit for me. I read it and I enjoyed it, but I didn't like love it, you know. The next book is Wild Egg Shore by Sheldon McConaughey. Again, this is also in my worst books of 2025 video, but it's more just like a disappointment. Like it wasn't like necessarily bad. I still gave it like a 3.25, which isn't horrible, but like I wish it was better. And I mean I know I get why a lot of people really love this book. Like the writing is beautiful, the setting, but the story, I just wasn't a big fan of the story. I think that's just it. I just wasn't a big fan of the actual plot. But yeah, if you want to hear more about this, you can watch that video. The next book I also listened to on audiobook. I listened to a lot more audiobooks when I was working in a lab, because like I was just doing really repetitive tasks all day, so we all had our AirPods in, all listening to our audiobooks all day. So I used to listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I think this was the last audiobook I listened to at work. No, there's one more. And I read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I don't know, I didn't really have high expectations for this book, but it was definitely a little disappointing. I mean, it's still good. What did I give it? I gave it a 3.5. But I was like a little bored, but it was just like a cutesy story. Like I think for what it is and like what it's trying to accomplish, I think it accomplished that. It's just not the type of genre and type of book that really interests me. Like, it's just a cute cozy fantasy, and you're following like a bunch of little kids, and they all have different like quirks. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, one of them is literally the Antichrist, and or like he has the potential to become the Antichrist, and you're just like following them in their little house on the Cerulean Sea. But I feel like it was definitely like way too long. Like, if it was like a shorter book, like maybe like 200 pages, like I feel like you could have gotten like everything out of it. It just also like kept going and maybe because it was like a little boring to me, I was like, okay, like when is this gonna end? But it wasn't bad. The next book that I read is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, and I really like this. What did I give it? I give it a 4.25. I think it was really fun. It was a really fun read, and it's sci-fi, and you're just following a group of people on the crew of the Wayfarer, and they're just like, you know, going around. It's just really cute. I like the characters. I'm definitely going to continue in this series, and I definitely want to read the second book sometime this year in 2026, but I just need to make sure I find these editions because I like these editions more. I got this one used for like $6, so I need to find more of these editions, but I actually really like this. And I just read another Becky Chambers. It was the first book that I finished in 2026, A Song for the Wild-Built, and I gave that a 5 stars and I loved it. So I definitely plan on reading more Becky Chambers this year because I really like her writing. I like her characters and her representation, and her books just are like very cozy. So yeah, definitely gonna read more from her. The next book, I was just like in a sci-fi mood. I read Binti by, I should have looked up how to pronounce this author's name, Nnedi Okorafor. Sorry if I butchered that, but yeah, this is a very short little sci-fi book. It's the first in a series. I might pick up the rest of it if I find them used. Like this copy, I got it for only $2, so if I find more of the series like used, I would, because they're like so short too. Like, I don't want to spend that much money on it. But it's like a very quick book. It all takes place, I think, on a ship, where like our main character is like going to her new school. Like the whole thing, it's like all takes place on the ship, and they're going to a new school, and an alien race that's like kind of an enemy comes on the ship, and that's what you're following. You're following what happens when this enemy comes on this basically like school bus ship with taking kids to their new school. And yeah, it was not bad. What did I get it? 3.5? I don't know, maybe that's generous. The next book is actually a manga, and that is 5 centimeters per second by Makoto Shinkai, and art by Yukiko Seki. This was okay. I think what I was thinking is I thought this was Your Name, which I love that manga. I mean, I love that anime movie, but this was still pretty good. What did I give it? I give it a 3.25. I don't know. I think it was cute, but a little boring. The next book that I read, I also listened to it on audiobook, and that was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I give it 4 stars. I did like it. Now that I'm like a little bit past it, I feel like it could be higher than a 4 stars. I really liked it. I love Andy Weir's writing. Like, I read The Martian, and it's like one of my favorite books and favorite movies of all time. So I was really excited, and I listened to this book, and I think the movie's coming out this year, and I'm really excited for that. So I'm definitely gonna watch that movie. And I don't know, I thought the book was really cute. You're just following this scientist, and he's on a ship, obviously, and he meets an alien. I mean, they gave that away in the movie trailer, so I think it's okay. He meets an alien, and that's all I'm gonna say, but it's really good. Okay, the next book that I read in 2025 was Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I gave this a 4 something, 4 out of 5 stars, 4 something out of 5 stars. This is here pairs well with 1984 and Handmaid's Tale. I feel like everybody knows what this book is. I feel like it had a resurgence in the past couple years. It's a kind of like not really post-apocalyptic, but it's like a futuristic story. And you're following this, what's her name? Lauren. She's a young woman with the extraordinary power to feel the pain of others as her own. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like, she'll see somebody in pain and she literally feels it herself, and it's actually like a very, very dangerous skill power to have. Because like you literally look at someone and you literally will feel their pain. Like, I don't think she takes their pain away, but she feels it. And she lives in this community, and they are like kind of like a little safe haven. But right outside their walls, it's like a bunch of like really desperate people. Like, they're like also criminals, they're desperate, because there's not like, outside of like these little tiny enclaves, like these little tiny communities, it's like just desolate and dangerous and just like kind of like in ruins. So you're following her, and she wants to, okay, I can't say anything else, but it was good. And I definitely want to read more about Octavia E. Butler. I might pick up the second book if I find it like at the thrift store or used bookstore, because it's an older book, so I feel like I could find it cheaper than full price. Okay, the next book was actually the first 5-star of 2025, and that is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. Like, objectively, is this a 5-star book? Probably not, but this was the last book that I read right before I gave birth, like literally. And it was the first time I read a book all year where I just could not put it down, and I wanted to binge it, and I just wanted to keep reading it, and it just made me feel, I don't know, like I really, really always just wanted to keep picking it up, and I feel like I just had to give it a 5-star. Like, I was like, I don't care, like, it's not objectively a 5-star book, no. Like, plot wise, writing wise, anything wise, character wise, no. But for me, it was just like, finally I found something that I could not put down. Like, yeah, like I liked a lot of these books, but this one, it just hit different, and I loved it. So you're following this woman, and one day she comes home and there's a guy coming down from her attic on a, like, and he's her husband, but she doesn't have a husband. She's never had a husband. She's single. And all of a sudden she has this guy, and he's like her husband, and then everything in her apartment is different. The pictures on her phone, they show like this entire relationship with this guy. Everybody in her life like knows him as her husband. But then as soon as he goes back up the ladder, a different man comes down, and he's also her husband. But again, the entire world has changed. Their house has changed. Their everybody's memories changed. So it's like kind of like alternate realities, and you kind of get, you get to like know a few of these husbands, and like her different experiences with them, and like you get to know like the different types of personalities. And I don't know, I just thought it was really fun, and I loved it, so I give this a 5-star. The next book was Lady Susan by Jane Austen. I gave this a 2 stars. Definitely my least favorite Jane Austen. I don't know, it was just like, I don't even remember. It was so unmemorable. I think I like read it like in like a couple days. Like, I was just trying to get through it. But I just wanted to read it because I got this really cute edition. But I don't know, it's a 2-star. There's nothing else to say about that. The next book that I read was The Blue Book of Nebo by Manon Stephen Ross. I gave this, I think, a 4.5 out of 5-star. This was a really interesting like post-nuclear war book. That's what this is. This is more like a post-nuclear war. It takes place, I think the author is Welsh. There's like a lot of Welsh words and like culture in here. Yeah, so the Welsh countryside. And you're following this woman and her daughter and her son, and they're just like surviving. And I don't know, like, you can't really like explain too much about this book. Like, you just have to like read it. It's really sad and bleak, and like lonely, because it's kind of like just the mother and her kids surviving. But I love books like that. Like, I love books where it's just like a woman just like trying to survive, and like the end of the world. That I love stuff like that, so I really liked this. I definitely recommend it. It's just really sad though. Okay, the next book that I read was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by B.E. Schwab. Again, this was in my most disappointing reads of the year video. So if you want to learn, like, hear more about this, you could check that out. But just to say, I gave this a 2.75. Okay, next we have another 5-star read of the year, and that was Nuclear War by Annie Jacobsen. This is actually like a nonfiction book, and it's all about what would happen if there was like a nuclear bomb heading towards America, specifically the Pentagon, which is not that far away from me. So, yeah, but you're kind of going through like minute by minute of what would happen if there was a nuclear bomb heading towards the Pentagon, like what every different, like all these different people are gonna do, all of like the different nuclear facilities, all the different like army bases, the president, the rest of the world. I lost my train of thought. My husband just came in for a second. But yeah, so you're going like literally the first 24 minutes, like minute by minute, like what would happen like if all these other countries found out that America's about to get bombed. And like you get the first 24 minutes, the next 24 minutes, and then I think it's basically like just like 1 hour, everything that would happen in 1 hour, the first hour after a bomb was deployed heading to America. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying. Basically, the world's gonna end in like a couple hours. If somebody decides to bomb America, the world will end in a few hours. Like, there's no coming back from it. And I gave this a 5-star. I feel like it's really well researched. It's very interesting to read. Like it's like kind of feels like fiction at times, because she's like hypothesizing like what different people are going to talk about, like what they're going to say, what they're going to do. But then there's also like bits of like history and like a bunch of different things, like how to be prepared for nuclear explosion, like all, it's just like a bunch, there's like a bunch of like pictures and a million different things, and I really enjoyed it. Really terrifying, but I still really liked it. Okay, the next book I read, now we're in like I think October, was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulek. I gave this a 3.25. I just picked this up randomly at Target, and like the pictures scared me, and I was like, okay, like where's, no, the first one that scared me, oh, I had opened it in Target to this page, and it was so scary to me I had to pick it up. It's kind of like, it's like a little scary, it's also like a mystery, it's a thriller. It has a lot of different things, it has a lot of pictures. It was interesting. It wasn't my favorite, but it was interesting, and I gave it a 3.25. The next book was also another 5-star, and that is Calabasas by R.F. Kuang. I loved this book so much. You can see all of my tabs. This was supposed to be a book club pick. It was book club that I joined, but then they never planned a meeting, and then nothing ever happened. So, but it's fine because it's one of my favorite books that I read all year. I gave it a 5-star. It's not one of my favorite books of all time, but definitely of this year. Like, I loved it. It was so fun. I feel like I don't even need to give you guys a synopsis of this. It's like been everywhere this year, but I loved it. I loved the ending. I feel like what really solidified the 5-star for me was the ending, and I loved it. I'm actually currently reading Babel right now, but I don't know if it could live up to this, in my opinion. We're getting close to the end. The next book that I read was Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I've been wanting to read S.A. Barnes's other book, Dead Silence, for a long time, but then I just got this off of Book Outlet. It was really cheap, so I went ahead and picked it up. It was pretty interesting. It's a little spooky. The ending was like a little like a lot of action, but I think it was like a 3.25, 3.5, something like that. it's a space horror, and you're following this crew, and they're going to this planet, to this base that something bad had happened there, and a lot of people died, and they went there to I think investigate, or to just like, I think it's like a repo mission, and things start, you know, getting weird, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, if what happened before is happening again, or it's related to it. And it's really interesting. Like, the actual reveal is pretty interesting, and I feel like a really unique thing. So, and I definitely didn't expect it. So if you guys are interested, it's kind of like also like a mystery. It's a horror, sci-fi, mystery, thriller. So, I mean, I didn't give it, like, rate it super, super highly, but it is a fun read. So the next book that I read was The Unworthy by Augustina Basterrica. She's the author of Tenders of Flesh, but I also got the soft book outlet, so that's why I picked this one up before Tenders of Flesh. This book was interesting. You're following a cult at the end of the world. I feel like a lot of my books are like about the end of the world, which is kind of funny. I don't know, it's just something that I think about all the time. It was interesting. I feel like this could be turned into an A24 film, like 100%. Like, this feels like an A24 film, which if you watch their movies, like, there's always like something weird, something speculative, something unexplained, and like you kind of leave the movie kind of like you're able to come up with your own conclusion. And I feel like that's kind of like this. Like, you don't really learn about that much about the outside world, except the fact that there was like a climate catastrophe. Again, a lot of my books have to do with climate change too, horror and climate change at the end of the world. I think those are just like my things, I guess. But it was interesting. It wasn't like my favorite thing. I gave it, what did I give, 3.25. It was fine. I would read more from this author. So okay, the next book is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I gave this a 5 stars. This was the first book that we read for a different in-person book club, and I gave it 5 stars. As you can see all of my tabs, I really enjoyed this memoir. And I feel like people don't really like rate memoirs, but like, it's just so beautifully written, and like I love like how she wrote it. I just love how she wrote it. I feel like I have to give it a rating, and I have to give it a 5 star. You're just following this, she's actually the lead singer in this band called Japanese Breakfast, and you're kind of you're learning about her life and her mother, specifically her relationship with her mom, because her mom has cancer, like gets cancer and passes away, and you're kind of like, you're following like her dealing with grief, and her dealing, like, you know, talking about her mom and her life. And a huge part of this book is food, and I love Korean food, so there's like a lot of Korean food in here. And I kind of just like the connection between like food and feeding people and love and like family and memories, and like how food like really can like spark all of these memories, especially with like loved ones and things that you've shared with them. And I don't know, I just really like this. It's a beautiful memoir. I never would have picked it up if it wasn't for my book club, and I'm so happy that this is the first book that they picked, because I never would have read it, and I never would have found like this 5-star book. It's definitely my favorite memoir I've ever read. It's so good. I loved it. Okay, we only have 4 more books, so let's do this. I feel like this video is really long. Okay, so the next book that I read was Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Wong. This also felt like an A24 film, but you know what this was? This felt like The Substance. Like, it's all about beauty and maintaining this image and going to extreme measures, like extreme medical beauty measures to achieve that, and it ultimately not being good. Like, this is literally like, this literally felt like The Substance. And but it's funny because I hated The Substance. I hated that movie, but actually I liked this a lot more. Like you're following this girl, and you never know her real name, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you never know her real name, and then she's given a name at this like store called Holistic in this company, and the whole company is all about creating beauty products. It's like a beauty product store, skincare, all of that type of stuff. And she gets dragged in deeper and deeper into this company, and you see all of the horrible things that's behind it. I feel like I can't say too much. Okay, I feel like calling it like the substance already gave it away. The third to last book, or second to last, or third to, I don't know. Anyway, I read Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I gave this like a 3.25, 3 out of 5 stars, something like that. I don't know. I can see how this was definitely like really monumental for its time, because it's like about a gaming character. But I don't know, it was like a little boring. Also, no, listen, David, the main guy, he is literally the villain of the story. Like, Giovanni's a victim. David's fiance, what's her name? I don't even know her name. She's a victim. David is the villain. That's all I'm gonna say. So, and now we're on the last 2 books. They're both romances, which is interesting, and I gave them both 4 stars. The second to last book was The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood. I gave this a 4-star. It was super fun and cute and sad, and like it's like the ending was a little predictable, but it was still a satisfying ending, and I just thought it was so fun, and it made me like want to pick up more books like this, and like trying to find like what kind of romance that I actually do enjoy, because I don't really like a lot of like the popular contemporary romances, but this, I really liked it. So I definitely won't, I don't know if I want to pick up more from Christy Greenwood. I looked at her other books, I'm not that interested, but like stuff that are similar to this is really fun. And yeah. And then the last book that I read was also a book club pick, and that is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I think I mentioned this in a video that I did. I don't know, I think I mentioned it, but I liked this book. I have to go, so I can't really like go into too many details right now, but you're just following these 2 authors, and they met and fell in love. Well, I wouldn't call it fell in love when they were teenagers. They just spent like a week together, and they were like on drugs, but then they meet again as adults 15 years later, and then you kind of like go from there. But there is like kind of like dual timelines. Like, you learn about when they were teenagers and like what went down, what happened, and then them today. There is like a lot of trigger warnings, I would say, for this book, for heavy like trigger warning for self-harm and substance abuse, but it was still really good, and I gave it 4 stars. She really liked this book, and yeah, so those were all the books that I read in 2025. I'm pretty happy with everything that I read this year, and I'm really excited for 2026. I mean, I already finished a book in 2026 and I gave it a 5 stars, so we're also starting off the year on a really good foot, so I'm really excited. But yeah, let me know what your favorite book of 2025 was in the comments. I think my favorite book of 2025, actually, I think my favorite book was probably Nuclear War or Calabasas. I think it's a tie between these 2, and I actually read them like back to back. So my 2 favorite books of the year. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.